Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pradharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashatya Deshatarine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta
Jai
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Harinam Sankirtan ki jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai Om Jnana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि प्रिये पंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Can we share a few points from the 15th chapter?
We discussed the transmigration of the soul.
Yes. Okay, what else?
The nature of the jiva is eternal fragmental part of the Lord.
Okay, somebody else?
One has to associate with devotees who are in Krishna conscious, not those who are posing externally, not those whose consciousness is not material. Thus, one can detach from material world. One should not be just dragging on in Krishna consciousness.
Okay, good.
The only way to achieve the supreme abode is by surrender. There is no other means to attain the supreme abode.
That's right.
When body changes, the subtle senses will also go along with the this Atma basically.
Right. Yes, the soul goes along with the subtle body and the subtle senses.
Yeah.
Everything goes. Yes.
The foolish can't understand how a living entity quit body and take another body. Those who are seeing through the eyes of knowledge can only understand.
Okay, good.
Krishna gives account of his abode, how it will be, and like dams here or any other place.
Okay.
Learn to realize supreme by seeing things around nature, like Surya,
Yes.
Chandra, and other gods. I mean, fire gods.
Yes. What else? What are the other examples Krishna is giving?
We are totally dependent on the Lord for food and everything.
Give some examples.
Even for vegetables, and then to get the vegetables and to nourish, digest the system also, we need to depend on the Lord.
Right. And even for the herbs and the medicinal herbs, medicines, medicinal potents also in all the Aushadhi.
Yeah, and we have discussed that if one is not intelligent, then what is the hope for him to understand this Krishna is there. So seeing the world around you, we can understand that Supreme Lord is there, like Surya, and who controls eye, and moon who controls mind,
and
and
even the fire of digestion.
Fire, yeah.
Yes, we can't even digest food. There won't be taste to food. Nothing will exist without Krishna doing all that. So we are so much dependent on him in so many aspects of our life.
Examples also Prabhuji was of
last section.
Lord is the one who is creating and maintaining the all planets also.
Right.
Two types of condition, two types of beings, fallible and infallible. Trishloki Gita we saw. Both Sambandha.
So the 16th, 17th and 18th verses are Sambandha Gyan. Then 19 is
Abhidya Gyan.
Yes, and 20 is
Prayojan.
Prayojan.
That's right. Okay, so in this way, Krishna summarized the Vedic knowledge in these verses because he is the compiler of the Vedas. Vedeshu sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eva cha. Okay, fine. So now we'll go to the 16th chapter. Okay, the divine and demoniac natures. Okay, what's the connection between the previous chapters and this chapter? Anybody can? Why Krishna is speaking here about divine and demoniac natures?
The last chapter, Krishna explained who are intelligent, they can only perceive how the soul is transmigrating, and he started explaining what is the relation between Shara and Akshara, and beyond that, what is his position, and how an intelligent person can perceive. All those things explained. But now he is going to explain who are such people, unintelligent, not able to perceive Krishna and all these things. So,
okay. Somebody else would like to say?
Like all the great means advancement and everything is judged based on the qualities. It is not based on any other factor. So we have to, devotee should work on developing good qualities.
Okay. Some other thoughts?
Earlier we discussed about the modes of material nature, mode of goodness,
right.
Mode of ignorance. Now this is further elaborated on the basis of that, the demoniac nature and the divine.
So how is it further elaboration?
So demoniac nature will be associated more with the mode of ignorance and probably passion. And the divine, the basis of the divine nature would be mode of goodness.
Okay, fine, that's right. So yes, so basically, so this is the connection. So between all these three chapters, so you see the 14th chapter basically spoke about the three gunas, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. And in chapter 15, Krishna described about the banyan tree of this material world, where the upper branches are the lokas, where those in Sattvagun are situated, and the lower branches are places where those in the lower modes are situated. And so now he's basically describing those who are in Sattvagun, what are their qualities, and those who are in Rajas and Tamas, and what are their qualities. So that's the divine and the demoniac. Okay. Demoniac qualities, demoniac nature 7 to 18, and results of demoniac activities from 19 to 24. Okay, let's start with the first three verses. So these first three verses only are describing the divine qualities. Okay, so let's recite. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhir Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti Dhanam Swadhyayas Tapa Arjavam Ahimsa Satyam Akrodas Tyaga Shantir Apaishanam Daya Bhuteshu Aloluptvam Mardavam Rir Achapalam Teja Kshama Dhriti Shaucham Adroho Natimanita Bhavanti Sampadam Devim Abhijatasya Bharata. Okay, somebody read the translation.
Shweta Mataji.
In the beginning of 15th chapter,
Translation.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance or sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature.
Okay, good. So somebody else can read the first two paragraphs of the purport.
Saurabh Prabhu.
In the beginning of the 15th chapter, the banyan tree of this material world is explained. The extra roots coming out of it were compared to the activities of the living entities, some auspicious, some inauspicious. In the 9th chapter also, the devas or godly and the asuras, the ungodly or demons, were explained. Now, according to the Vedic rites, activities in the mode of goodness are considered auspicious for progress on the path of liberation, and such activities are known as Devi Prakriti, transcendental by nature. Those who are situated in the transcendental nature make progress on the path of liberation. For those who are acting in the modes of passion and ignorance, on the other hand, there is no possibility of liberation. Either they will have to remain in this material world as human beings, or they will descend among the species of animals or even lower life forms. In this 16th chapter, the Lord explains both the transcendental nature and its attendant qualities and the demonic nature and its qualities. He also explains the advantages and disadvantages of these qualities. The word Abhijatasya is in reference to one born of transcendental qualities or godly tendencies is very significant. To beget a child in a godly atmosphere is known in the Vedic scripture as Garbhadhan Samskar. If the parents want a child in the godly qualities, they should follow the 10 principles recommended for the social life of the human being. In Bhagavad Gita, we have studied also before that sex life for begetting a good child is Krishna himself. Sex life is not condemned, provided the process is used in Krishna consciousness. Those who are in Krishna consciousness at least should not beget children like cats and dogs, but should beget them so that they may become Krishna conscious after birth. That should be the advantage of the children born of a father and mother absorbed in Krishna consciousness.
Okay, so we find that this word Abhijatasya is used both for the divine qualities as the word Abhijatasya indicates that right from birth. So these qualities are there right from birth. One is born with these qualities. And of course, they could be sort of modified based upon association, activities, and so on and so forth. But basically, based on the influence of the gunas, which is coming from the previous life, then one is, as we were discussing in the previous classes, that how the subtle body is carrying the impressions from the previous life, and so there's the influence of the gunas. The influence of the gunas is essentially on the subtle body, on the mind. And so all this is being carried from the previous life. And so therefore, based upon, again, the state of consciousness of the father and mother at the time of conception, then, of course, based upon their karma also, then a particular soul is attracted towards the womb of a particular mother. But in any case, the point remains that the qualities are there right from birth. And so, of course, we all have experience. So we find some children very saintly, well-behaved. We find other children very naughty and aggressive, arrogant. So we find all permutations, combinations we find. Right from birth, we can see that. And as the child grows up, then the qualities become more and more manifest. But we can see right from childhood. The Bhagavatam is giving example of somebody born with saintly qualities like Parikshit or Prahlad. And there are examples of those who are born with demoniac qualities. Like we hear of Shishupal, practically right from the time he was born, he was blaspheming Krishna. Or also there's the example of Vena, who was also, Bhagavatam describes how even in his childhood, as a small boy, he would, in his play, he would murder other boys. So that's how we find right from birth, different children have different qualities. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes on the Garbhadan Sanskar so that favorable souls can be attracted. And so then somebody with more divine qualities may be attracted. So therefore, that's the importance of the Garbhadan Sanskar, which Srila Prabhupada did emphasize a lot. So now, we read this. Okay. Abhijatus. Okay. So now, these divine qualities are concerned, which Krishna speaks about only in the first 3 verses of the chapter. The rest of the chapter is basically all demoniac qualities. And so, why Krishna speaks only 3 verses? Some explain that because Krishna has already spoken in quite a few places about divine qualities. Like he already spoke in the 12th chapter, he also spoke in the 13th chapter, he also spoke, of course, even in the 2nd chapter. So many places Krishna did speak about divine qualities. And so therefore, here he's speaking only 3 verses about divine qualities. Now, in the next paragraph of the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about Varnashram. And so we know there are the 4 Varnas and the 4 Ashramas. And so these qualities are also based upon these Varnas and Ashramas. And Srila Prabhupada explains that. So the first 3 qualities here, Abhayam, Sattva Samshuddhi, Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti. So Abhayam means fearlessness, Sattva Samshuddhi means purification of one's existence, and Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti means to be situated in knowledge. So all these are the qualities for sannyasis. Then Dhanam, Damascha, Yajnascha. These 3 qualities are meant for grihasthas. Dana means charity, Dhamma means control of the mind and the senses, and yajna, performance of sacrifices. These are the 3 qualities of grihasthas. Then swadhyaya is essentially the quality for brahmacharis. And tapa, austerity, is basically a quality for the vanaprasthas. Of course, Srila Prabhupada does explain that the entire Varnashram Dharma society is meant for tapasya. Everyone has to perform. Of course, it's not that these qualities are exclusively meant for that particular Varna or Ashrama, but predominantly for that Varna or Ashrama. Ultimately, of course, all qualities are meant for everyone. Arjavam, simplicity. Yes, is meant for everyone, for all the ashramas. Arjavam, simplicity is also meant for everyone. We discussed in a previous class also, I suppose. Saralta e Vaishnavata. So everyone is supposed to be simple. Anyone remembers what is the definition of simplicity? Prabhupada had given in the 13th chapter. Of course, you may see your book and answer.
Always telling truth.
Yes, Prabhupada says one should be so straightforward that one is ready to tell the truth even to an enemy. Okay, so that's about the ashramas. Now the next two verses are for the varnas, that is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So the second verse are all the qualities for Brahmanas. Ahimsa, Satyam, Akrodhas, Tyaga, Shanti, Apaishunam, Daya, Bhuteshu, Aloluptvam, Madhavam, Achapalam. All these are meant for Brahmanas. So Ahimsa means non-violence, Satyam is truthfulness, Akrodha is freedom from anger, Tyaga is renunciation, Shanti, tranquility, peacefulness, Apaishunam, aversion to fault finding, Daya, mercy, Daya Bhuteshu, towards all living entities. Aloluptvam means freedom from greed. So Brahmana is supposed to be satisfied with whatever he has, not very greedy. In one of our previous classes, I told about Prabhupada telling about his experience when he was staying at Allahabad, about a family. It was very simple life. Mardavam, gentleness, modesty, achapalam, determination. So these are all the qualities meant for Brahmanas. Then the quality for Kshatriyas is Tejas. Tejas. So Tejas means that one should, so the Kshatriyas, they are supposed to have vigor or strength to give protection to the weak. And also Kshama, Dhriti. These are also qualities for Kshatriyas. So the Kshatriyas, they should also be forgiving because they have power and they can punish. But at the same time, they should be forgiving under certain conditions whenever it's required. Prabhupada says he may excuse minor offenses. And Dhriti means determination. So the Kshatriya, he must have determination to fight the enemy, not run away from the battle. So some determination is required. Then Shaucham is meant for the Vaishyas, because the Vaishyas tend to cheat business people. They tend to cheat for achieving profits in their business. And so Shaucham means cleanliness in the markets, in one's dealings. And the last one, Nati Manita, is meant for the Shudras, not expecting honor because they're supposed to serve all the other classes. And so they should not expect honor, but they should simply serve. Otherwise, if they don't have that quality, then the servants will try to be the masters. That would be a problem. So therefore, they should not be puffed up with unnecessary prestige or honor and should remain in their own status. So these are also 26 qualities. So the last paragraph of the purport, Prabhupada writes, of course, these are not exactly the 26 qualities of the Vaishnava. Those are slightly different. But anyways, here also there are 26. So Prabhupada writes, all these 26 qualifications mentioned are transcendental qualities. They should be cultivated according to the different statuses of social and occupational order. The purport is that even though material conditions are miserable, if these qualities are developed by practice by all classes of men, then gradually it is possible to rise to the highest platform of transcendental. So that's an important point. I think so. We did discuss this point before also, that one should try to practice and develop these qualities. And these are rights by all classes of men. So we already mentioned that point, that though certain qualities are specific for certain classes, but ultimately all qualities are important for everyone. Okay, so we're not reading the whole purport. You can read the purport, and many of these qualities we had already discussed in our previous discussions. And so you can go through the purport, and yes, if there are some other clarifications you could ask. Okay, fine. So before we go to the demoniac qualities, any clarifications?
There are a few questions, Prabhuji, around 5 of them.
Okay, let's finish that before we go to the demoniac qualities. What are they?
First one is by Sachijivan got 2. Okay, at 7:23 am. Okay, I think that's a question regarding yesterday. Do you want to take that, Prabhuji, now?
What's that?
That is regarding yesterday's question, how jivas in spiritual world not fallible as jivas in material world come from there only. That one, Prabhuji.
We never said in the spiritual world the jivas are fallible.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, yesterday when I asked this question, you said, okay, in the spiritual world, there are two kinds of people. One is fallible and infallible. So that's why I got confused, because in
No, in the spiritual world they're infallible.
Then
only
how
in the material world they're fallible.
Yeah, then my question is, then how come, because the jivas in the material world also come from the spiritual world. So if they're
Now
not
see, again you're coming to that basic question, which we already answered. So many times we said it. So see, I'll read from Prabhupada's purport regarding who's in the spiritual world and who's in the material world. But then this question we have answered so many times. So see, you see the last line of the 16th verse purport. 15. Now we're going to the previous chapter.
Yes.
Only this one question we are taking out from previous chapter. We're not taking out. So you see the 16th verse purport, last line. You read.
In the spiritual world, however, they are always liberated.
See, go the one line before. Kshara Sarvani Bhutani.
Okay. Kshara Sarvani Bhutani, any living entity who has come in contact with matter, beginning from the first created being, Brahma, down to ant, is changing its body, therefore they are fallible. In the spiritual world, however, they are always liberated in oneness.
Yes. Right? So in the material world, they're fallible. In the spiritual world, they're infallible.
Again, I'm a little bit confused.
No, I know what's your question, but we have answered that question so many times.
No, what I couldn't get it.
See, normally they are infallible. They don't fall down. Somehow it happened long ago. When it happened, we don't know. Somehow it happened once.
Yes, but yeah, that you told. Then in that respect, then it is fallible, right? Why you are saying? If someone asked me this question, well, I don't have any right answer to give.
See, it's not the normal course of action. It's not the normal thing that all the time they're following.
Okay.
They're falling.
Okay.
It's very rare. And somehow once it happens. So, but in most cases, the jivas in the spiritual world, they don't fall. And the other important point we must understand, the material world is a very, very insignificant part of the creation. Now we already said that 3/4 is spiritual world. The material world is only 1/4. So most of the jivas are in the spiritual world. So the number of jivas here in the material world is very insignificant compared to the spiritual world.
Prabhuji, that when you say that it is 3/4 is there, it's like 25% is in the material world. Then 25% is not this insignificant number, I guess.
See, we are not going ahead on this discussion. Okay, you can decide what you want to do. Yeah. It's an unending discussion.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay.
We have to understand we have certain limitations in our understanding. We are not God to try and understand everything. Okay, so we should accept the fact that we have limited brains, as Prabhupada said it a million times. We have tiny brains, and yet we think we can understand the whole creation. No, we have to be humble enough to accept that we have very limited intelligence. So we can't understand everything. So therefore, we have to accept this fact that there are certain things we cannot understand and leave it at that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Is karma inherited? Is karma inherited? No, karma is for every jiva. Every jiva has his own karma. Where is inheritance there? So yes, some children are very naughty, arrogant, transformed. Yes, that's fine. Yes, so they can be transformed. It's not that they can never be. If the jivas cannot be transformed, then why talk about the 3 modes and activities in the modes? Why talk about all that if it's not possible to transform? But the point remains that everyone is born with a certain set of qualities. That's the point. All right. What is the meaning of sacrifice? You read in the purport. Freedom from anger would render Kshatriyas ineffective in battle. There is some amount of anger on enemy that is needed. So, akrodham is for Kshatriyas or Brahmanas? What did we say? Akrodha is for whom?
Yeah, Prabhu, I thought the other one, fearlessness and all those, there is a freedom from anger. I thought that was meant for Kshatriyas.
Freedom from anger is for Brahmanas, na?
Okay, because probably I heard it that, it's for Kshatriyas. So that's why I asked that question.
For Kshatriyas, it is Tejas, Kshama, Dhriti.
Okay.
What 10 qualities for social life of human being mentioned in the second? Oh, these are 10 sanskaras. 10 sanskaras, Dashavita sanskar, which humans need to perform for purification. Okay, so there's a list of sanskaras. We're not getting into that, but sanskaras are basically purificatory processes, right from conception, Garbhodan sanskar, then there is sanskar at the time of birth, then there's name-giving sanskar, and like that, there are 10 sanskaras.
Prabhuji, there is one question previous to that, just above that by Anup.
Okay, the qualities are mentioned without specifying which varna. If Brahmana confused with Kshatriya qualities, it may lead to confusion. So yes, therefore the acharyas are explaining in their purports. So you read the purports. Okay, Satyam for good reasons, for example, to save life. Okay, if it is according to the principles of religion, then it's fine. Satyam. So we are already discussed in one of the previous classes. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was told to tell lies by Krishna. So if it is what Krishna wants and then it is according to dharma, then it's justified. Otherwise, not whimsically telling untruths. All right.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So Siddharth Prabhu, done?
Prabhuji, 2 more questions after this. One is by Dhameshwar Prabhu at 7:36 a.m.
Where is that?
It's right after.
We are aware that the soul is sarva, which means he can move anywhere according to his karma. In the second chapter of Gita, Krishna describes. Oh, the meaning of the word achala there. But this is a second chapter question. I don't know why you're asking here. So anyway, the meaning of the word achala is, the literal meaning is immobile. The acharyas give example. I mean, give the actual meaning. The actual meaning of the word achala is that the qualities don't change. Or the swarupa does not change, sorry, to be precise. The swarupa of the soul remains fixed. The swarupa remains unchanged. That is the real meaning of achala. What is the possibility of going back to Godhead of socially progressing bhakti from higher planets? Yeah, I don't know why these totally irrelevant questions are being asked today. We told you ask something on these divine qualities, and they're asking funny questions.
We can take them later, Prabhuji, then in that case.
How you understand if devotees get angry? Okay, if the anger is for a transcendental purpose, then it is fine, like Arjuna, Hanuman. All right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
There is one more question that has come in, Prabhuji, by Saurabh Prabhu. Last one. It's on
Where is that?
Gardhan Samskar. After the Krodha question.
Gardhan Sanskar, does child also get karma of the parents? No, it's not that the child gets the karma of the parents, but by the karma of the parents, they get a particular child. So it's all, of course, there is karma of the parents, there is karma of the child. So now Krishna knows what is the right combination. So everyone has their respective karma. Parents have their karma, the child has his karma. And so the child has to be given a certain body where he gets the results of his karma. And so therefore that combination is done. So everyone has their own karma. And so because the parents have their karma, therefore they get a particular child, and the child has his karma. So therefore to get the reactions of his karma, then he gets a particular set of parents. So everyone has their own karma. All right?
No, he says okay, Prabhuji. I think that's the end of the questions, Prabhuji. We can proceed.
Fine. So yes, so we are proceeding ahead. Okay, fine. Fourth verse. So now Krishna begins his discussion on the demoniac qualities. Dambo darpo abhimanasya krodha parushamev cha ajnanam cha vijadasya partha sampadamasurim. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Pritha. So here Prabhupada begins the poem by saying in this verse, the royal road to hell is described. So each of these words has a specific meaning. Again, the word abhijatasya is used. So therefore, Prabhupada writes towards the end of this purport, these demoniac qualities are taken on by them from the beginning of their bodies in the wombs of their mothers. And as they grow, they manifest all these inauspicious qualities. Right. Okay, so each of these qualities has a specific meaning. So damba, pride. So basically it means to announce oneself as a religious even though one has a sinful nature. So as Prabhupada writes in his purport, the demoniac want to make a show of religion and advancement in spiritual science, although they do not follow the principles. So just making a show, that is called as damba. Darpa means pride due to wealth, knowledge, and the like. So Prabhupada also writes, they are always arrogant or proud and possessing some type of education or so much wealth. Then abhimana means to desire respect from others or attachment to wives, sons, and other things. So Prabhupada says they desire to be worshipped by others and demand respectability, although they do not command respect. And so they demand respects, but they don't command respects. So that is the meaning of abhiman. Krodha means anger. And Prabhupada says, over trifles, they become very angry and speak harshly, not gently. So that is Krodha. Then Parusham means cruelty. Yeah, so harsh behavior, cruel behavior. And Ajnana means lack of discrimination. So Prabhupada writes, they do not know what should be done and what should not be done. They do everything whimsically according to their own desire and they do not recognize any authority. So these are some of the demoniac qualities. So here it said these are the qualities of the Asura, which indicate other types of beings, which are Rakshasas as well. These qualities belong to the person born at a moment, indicating attainment of Rajasic or Tamasic qualities. Okay, so just like we know the famous example of Kashyap Muni and Diti, because they united at the wrong time, then we see that how the demoniac persons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, were born. So then that's how the birth, the time of conception influences who is born with what qualities. Okay, fine. Just hold on for a few minutes. I'll just come. Okay, fine. So now, next verse, 5th verse. Devi sampad vimokshaya nibandhaya surimata ma shucha sampadam devim avijato si pandava. The transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation, whereas the demonic qualities make for bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with divine qualities. Okay, so here Krishna is saying that Devi Sampad Vimokshaya. If one has Devi Sampat, if one has divine qualities, then the result will be Vimokshaya, the result will be liberation. But if one has Asuric qualities, then the result will be Nibandhaya, the result will be bondage. And then he says, don't worry, as far as you're concerned, you have divine qualities. So Arjuna may get that doubt. So where do I stand? What type of qualities do I have? So as Prabhupada writes, Lord Krishna encouraged Arjuna by telling him that he was not born with demoniac qualities. His involvement in the fight was not demoniac because he was considering the pros and cons. Okay, so we studied that in the first chapter itself. So where Prabhupada writes that his not desiring to kill was also a manifestation of his compassion. But then further on, Prabhupada writes, for a Kshatriya military man, shooting arrows at the enemy is considered transcendental, and refraining from such duty is demoniac. But of course, especially in the case of Arjuna, it was transcendental because Krishna was giving instructions. Therefore, there was no cause for Arjuna to lament. Anyone who performs the regulated principles of the different orders of life is transcendent situated. Okay, a lecture by Srila Prabhupada, please read.
Sham Chaitanya Prabhuji.
Unnecessarily proud, that means it is due to ignorance. Simply, we have to develop either this demonic characteristic or the divine characteristic. So human life is meant for developing divine characteristic, not this demonic characteristic. Demonic characteristic is already there, just like Damba. A dog has also pride. I am this dog. Grr. I am fox terrier. I am this, I am that. So Damba is there even in the dog, even in the lower animal, even in the cat. But the divine characteristics, oh, I am so low. Granada Visunichena. I am lower than the grass. I am lower than the grass. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. What is this Damba? Why I should be pride? What is this pride? So that is ignorance. Due to ignorance, when one man is unnecessarily proud, that means it is due to ignorance.
Yes. So the basic purpose of this discussion over here, as we have already discussed this point before, and that is human life is meant for developing divine characteristics, not the demoniac characteristics. And as we already discussed when we were discussing the 14th chapter, so Prabhupada writes, if you remember in the 10th verse purport in the 14th chapter, he writes that by practice and determination, one should try to develop the mode of goodness. And so that is the purpose of this whole discussion. And that is by practice, by determination, then one should try to develop the divine characteristics. As Prabhupada is writing, demoniac characteristic is already there. So in the material worlds, by default, Rajaguna and Tamaguna are going to be there by default. That is why we're in the material worlds. And so therefore, to have demoniac characteristics is quite natural for everyone. Only the degree varies. Some will have more, some will have less. But then everyone has to some degree, some demonic qualities. But then the purpose of this discussion is so that we ourselves can determine where we stand, what type of qualities I have, and how I can give up the demoniac qualities and develop the divine qualities, rise to Sattvagun. So it requires some practice, some determination, some endeavor on our part. And so that's the responsibility as human beings. So the animals, they don't have any choice in the matter. So they just act according to their natures, according to their conditioned natures. But the human beings, they have been given intelligence to make that choice. And they can decide where they want to go, whether they want to develop the divine characteristics or the demoniac characteristics. And so that's the purpose why Krishna is discussing all this. So 6th verse, Dvau bhuta sarga lokesmin deva asura eva cha devo vistarasha prokta asuram parthameshrano. O son of Pritha, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called the divine and the other is demoniac. I've already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. Okay, so now from the next verse, he's going to describe the demoniac qualities in great detail. So Prabhupada just gives a summary of divine and demoniac. The conditioned living entities are divided in two classes. Those who are born with divine qualities follow regulated life. That is to say, they abide by the injunctions and scriptures and by the authorities. So that's one should perform duties in the light of authoritative script. This mentality is called divine. That's, we can say, one of the primary or the key characteristics of one who in divine nature, or as we also discussed, one in Sattvagun. So one of the important characteristics is that he leads his life according to the authoritative scriptures. And one who does not lead life according to scriptures, then obviously as a result of that, then everything else follows. Then all the demonic qualities follow when one does not follow the scriptures. So one who does not follow the regulative principles as they laid down in the scriptures and who acts according to his whims is called demonic asuric. There is no other criterion. So therefore Prabhupada is writing this point very clear. There is no other criterion but obedience to the regulative principles of scriptures. That is the fundamental criterion. Then everything else is just a corollary, or everything else is simply a result of this primary difference. And that is whether one follows scriptures or not. It is mentioned in Vedic literature that both the demigods and demons are born of the Prajapati. The only difference is that one class obeys the Vedic injunctions and the other does not. Okay, so now further demoniac qualities. Okay, fine. We already discussed this point. This is the 5th verse. Two kinds of beings. Okay. So, okay, we can read this question answer session. Prabhupada speaks at the end of a lecture. Okay, somebody read this?
Abhayanand Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Srila Prabhupada, is it possible for one person to be part demon and part devotee in the same person? Then Prabhupada replied, if he is a devotee, he is not demon at all. If he is devotee asked, but he may have some demonic qualities. Then Prabhupada replied, yes, that if he is seriously devotee, the demonic qualities will disappear very soon. Kripam bhavati dharmatma api chetasu duracharo vajti mam ananya bhaktas sadur evatsa mantva mantavya Bhagavad Gita 9th verse 30th verse, basically 9.30. Kripam bhavati dharmatma, just like electric fan is moving and you make the switch off, still you will find it is moving, but this movement will stop very soon because switch is off. Similarly, devotee, if it is sometimes found that he is demonic, that demonic, if he is sincerely a devotee, the demonic qualities will go very soon.
So this is an important point Prabhupada is making here, and that is, so the devotee cannot be a demon in toto. Right? So basically it's devotee. So we'll discuss this in the Nectar of Devotion. So the primary quality of a devotee is Krishna Eka Sharanam, that he has taken shelter of Krishna. That's amongst the 26 qualities of Vaishnava, that is the primary, Swarup Lakshana. And so when that Swarup Lakshana is there, one has taken shelter of Krishna, one is following the process of devotional service, then even though immediately the 25 other Lakshanas, the 25 other qualities may not be immediately present, but if he continues on in the practice of devotional service, then they will eventually develop. So that's what Prabhupada is saying over here. So devotee can have some demonic qualities initially. And but if he is seriously a devotee, if he's serious in his practice of devotional service, then the demonic qualities will disappear very soon. So then he's given the example of the electric fan. So when you switch off the fan continues to rotate for some time. So similarly, when one begins devotional service, it is not that the demonic qualities will immediately disappear. It'll take some time because conditionings are very deep and so many demonic qualities are coming on the basis of previous life. And so the demonic quality is not going to disappear immediately. But as Prabhupada is writing, that if he's sincerely a devotee, then demonic qualities will go. So therefore, even though sometimes we may find some demonic qualities, unwanted qualities in devotees, so we should not be too upset if they are seriously practicing devotional service. So sometimes we do find that devotees may feel that some other devotees, they are having demonic qualities, and sometimes it appears that materialistic people, they are behaving better than devotees. But then there is a basic fundamental difference between the two. So as far as the materialists, by their previous karma, if they are born in Sattvagun, if they have some Sattvagun qualities, then they may have good behavior. But then if they don't come to the practice of devotional service, as we already discussed in previous class, the influence of the modes is not static. The influence of the modes is very dynamic. And so even though one may have some good qualities based upon karma, but if devotional service is not there, then that's the Sattvagun qualities will very soon be covered over by the qualities of Rajas and Tamas. Because because if he's not in devotional service, then he won't make any endeavor to maintain the good qualities. And then very soon he'll become, by association of other people or so many other factors, he'll become influenced by the lower modes. And then he'll be a changed person. But on the other hand, a devotee, even though he may have some demoniac qualities, but because he's practicing devotional service, then very soon he'll get purified of all those demoniac qualities. And so therefore, as Krishna says, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma, very soon he becomes purified, he becomes Dharmatma. And so therefore, the important point is that even though a devotee may have certain demoniac qualities, but we should understand that if he continues his practice of devotional service sincerely and seriously, then definitely those demoniac qualities will go away. But for a materialistic person, even though apparently he may have some good qualities, but if he is not practicing devotional service, then there is no guarantee whatsoever that those good qualities will remain. Now, very soon they'll become covered by the demoniac qualities. So that should be a proper understanding of how to view devotees with some demoniac qualities. And as far as we are concerned, ourselves, we should be more concerned about ourselves rather than others. But then that should also be how we view others, our perception of other devotees. And as far as we are concerned, we should be very much concerned about what type of qualities I have. And then understand that, yes, I also will definitely have some demoniac qualities, but then we should understand that it's only by the sincere and serious practice of devotional service that those demonic qualities will go away. And so therefore, as far as we ourselves are concerned, we should not be justifying our demonic qualities and thinking that, oh, what to do, this is my karma, what can I do? No, that's what we are reading. Prabhupada is saying, one should practice, one should have determination to bring about a change, both by the practice of devotional service and also trying to give up the demonic qualities. So that endeavor should be there on our sides. Okay, so now we go to the next section from 7 to 18, which are basically demoniac qualities, demoniac nature. And so most of it doesn't require much explanation. This is what we see in the world all around. So more than obvious. 7th verse. Pravrittam cha nivrittam cha janana vidurasuraha na shaucham na pichacharo na satyam teshu vidyate. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done, what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. Okay, so basically they don't know what is to be done, what is not to be done, because they don't follow scriptures. And so no shaucham, so no internal cleanliness, no external cleanliness. So many people we know, they don't even take bath every day. Forget about internal cleanliness. So previously also we read how in the 13th chapter, one of the important qualities is shaucham. And they don't have achar. No api, cha, achar. Achara. Achara means behavior, no good behavior. So we discussed that point also before, how very important for devotees to have exemplary behavior. So the demons, they won't have any good behavior, no truthfulness. So in one purport in the 8th canto, I suppose, Prabhupada writes that in the modern world, telling lies has become a habit. It's become a habit. Yeah, so we find in the modern world, one is conditioned to telling lies. At every instance, one tells lies. There's no truthfulness. But as it said, that Mother Earth can tolerate the weight of everyone, but she cannot tolerate the burden of one liar. And so therefore, it's very important that we practice truthfulness. Okay, Prabhupada describes about following scriptures like the Manu Samhita, and yeah, so he talks about some of these things. Okay, 8th verse. So the 8th verse is describing what is their philosophy. So the demons also have a philosophy. What is their philosophy? Satyam pratishtam te jagadahur anishwaram parasparasambhutam kim anyat kama hetukam. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. So this is their philosophy. Okay, somebody can read the purport, please.
Deepak Prabhuji or Prabhuji?
The demoniac conclude that the world is phantasmorgia. There is no cause and effect, no controller, no purpose. Everything is unreal. They say that this cosmic manifestation arises due to chance material actions and reactions. They do not think that the world was created by God for a certain purpose. They have their own theory that the world has come about in its own way, and that there is no reason to believe that there is a God behind it. For them, there is no difference between spirit and matter, and they do not accept the Supreme Spirit. Everything is matter only, and the whole cosmos is supposed to be a mass of ignorance. According to them, everything is void, and whatever manifestation exists is due to our ignorance in perception. They take it for granted that all manifestation of diversity is a display of ignorance. Just as in a dream, we may create so many things which actually have no existence. So when we are awake, we shall see that everything is simply a dream. But factually, although the demons say that life is a dream, they are very expert in enjoying this dream. And so instead of acquiring knowledge, they become more and more implicated in their dreamland. They conclude that as a child is simply the result of sexual intercourse between man and woman, this world is born without any soul. For them, it is only a combination of matter that has produced the living entities, and there is no question of the existence of the soul. As many living creatures come out from perspiration and from a dead body without any cause, the whole living world has come out of the material combinations of the cosmic manifestation. Therefore, material nature is the cause of this manifestation, and there is no other cause. They do not believe in the words of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Madhya Madhyakshena Prakriti
Mayadhyakshena.
Mayadhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sat Characharam. Under my direction, the whole material world is moving. In other words, among the demons, there is no perfect knowledge of the creation of the world. Every one of them has some particular theory of his own. According to them, one interpretation of the scripture is as good as another, for they do not believe in a standard understanding of the scriptural injunctions.
Okay, so Prabhupada is presenting various demoniac theories here, including Mayavadis. Of course, Mayavadis are also demoniac. They are blasphemous. Mayavadi, Krishna Paradi. So they are blasphemous of the Supreme Lord. And so therefore, their philosophy is definitely demoniac. So basically, those who are demoniac, then asatyam, Krishna is saying, asatyam, the first thing. So that's the Mayavad philosophy. Brahma satyam, jagan mithya. So they say that this world is false. So then Prabhupada is refuting that here. Okay, so anyway, so we discussed this point before in our classes. So how do you refute this philosophy of the Mayavadis, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya? Somebody can answer.
So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is clearly mentioning here. Under my oh, hello.
A little louder, please.
See, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is already mentioning here, under my direction, the whole material world is moving. So how it can be mithya?
Okay, okay, that's one point. What's a basic fundamental flaw?
Prabhu, they give this example of the rope on the snake. So they say that this world doesn't exist. No, it's like an illusion that you have just mistaken rope to a snake. So, but still they are in their definition, like that rope exists, and then the rope has an existence somewhere. So they cannot very clearly say that this material world is completely ignorance or completely not there. So they end up confusing it actually most of the times.
Yes, that's correct. So basic fundamental flaw is the material world is coming from the absolute truth. So how can something which comes from truth be false? And so that's a basic fundamental flaw in that philosophy. And so therefore it is truth, but it is temporary. And so then Prabhupada always raises the other point, and that is, then if the Mayavadis say that this is false, then why, after some time, they come to enjoy this material world or perform some social welfare activities in the world if this world is false? And that's what Prabhupada writes here also, that they take it for granted that all manifestation of diversity is a display of ignorance. Just as in a dream, we may create so many things which actually have no existence. So when we're awake, we shall see that everything is simply a dream. But factually, although the demons say that life is a dream, they're very expert in enjoying this dream. And so instead of acquiring knowledge, they become more and more implicated in their dreamland. Okay, so that's the Mayavadis. So they simply end up enjoying this material world. And the Mayavadis say, I am God, you are God. So God doesn't need to follow any rules and regulations. So enjoy. So that's what Prabhupada is writing. So on one hand, they say, oh, it is false, it is a dream. But then they land up enjoying the dream. So that's asatyam. Apratishtam. Apratishtam means no foundation. Jagat ahur anishwaram. There's no Ishwara, no God in control. So basically, they don't, so the demoniac, they say there's no one in control, there is no foundation, there is no purpose. No foundation means no purpose for the creation. And so Prabhupada is also bringing in the other philosophy that, okay, everything is simply coming from chemicals. So how do you refute that? People say everything is simply coming from chemicals.
Prabhupada says
if everything is coming from chemical, then what happens when the person dies? The chemicals are there, body is there, but why the person is not able to move? So something.
Okay, so that's fine. They will say, okay, so everything is chemicals, and then when the body is dead, so then finished. All the chemicals are.
There is an example given that if all chemicals has been placed together, can you make the living being? And they were not able to do that thing.
Yes, so that was Prabhupada's standard refutation of this theory. And we know the Prabhupada often spoke about one of this propounders of chemical evolution. He was giving a talk, and then Swarup Damodar Maharaj, he challenged him. So if I give you all the chemicals, can you produce life? And the man said, that we cannot say. So yes, so that's the basic fundamental flaw. And any other points to refute this?
Chemicals are also made by the God only.
What?
Chemicals are also made by the God only, na? They are selling the chemicals.
Okay, chemicals also come from God. That is fine. But anyway, they can refute it saying, okay, chemicals are available in creation and in the nature. And so somehow they combine together and then life comes about.
Prabhupada says that life comes from life, and then chemicals also comes from life. If you have a tree and then it produces so many lemons, and then so much of citric acid is there, and it has all come from a small seed. So
yes, that's another standard point which Prabhupada would make, and that is chemicals come from living beings, not the other way around. So similarly, he also gives the example of perspiration. Perspiration is also basically what? Sodium chlorides. So that's how chemicals are coming from the living being. Simply from a lump of chemicals, you don't expect more chemicals to be created simply by a lump of chemicals. There's another very important argument, especially for the next point, and that is aparaspara sambhutam. So they say that the whole material existence is aparaspara, means without cause. Without cause. And the only cause is kama hetukam, lust only. So they're saying that there is no cause for creation. So simply by man and woman or male and female coming together, life is produced, and so there is no other cause. How do you refute this?
Then everybody should be in the same platform. If it is the last and many people are begetting the children, why they are in the different formats?
Yes, very good. Yes, this is the most logical refutation which Srila Prabhupada gave. So if everything is just combination of male and female, and then somehow child is coming, then why all children are not born similar? Why somebody is born in a poor family, cannot afford even one meal a day? Somebody is born with a silver spoon in the mouth. So we find so many differences, so many differences. Why everyone is not alike? If there is no one in control, then why everyone is not alike? And I have absolutely no control over which child is going to be born and what qualities he'll have. I have no control. I can try, but then still there's no control. So we find all these differences. So the very fact that these differences exist means there's someone in control. And it's a very logical point which anyone with little intelligence can understand. But as Prabhupada says, these days people are so dull-headed. Kali Yuga Manda Sumanda Matiyo. Therefore, they can't understand even these simple points. So because of, so as Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying everyone has some particular theory of his own. Okay, so, and they have their own interpretation of the scriptures and so on and so forth. So what is the result? What is the result of such misinterpretations and such demoniac theories? What is the result? Next verse. Etam drishtim avashtabhya nashtatmano alpabuddhayah prabhavantya ugrakarmanah kshayaya jagato hita. So following such conclusions, which conclusions is given in the previous verse? The demoniac who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Okay, so this is the result of all these demoniac theories and philosophies. So basically, because they're all without God in picture, without a goal, without a cause. And so therefore people think we can act whimsically, we can do whatever we want because there's nobody in control. And so therefore, Krishna says they are alpa buddhaya, less intelligent. And because they are less intelligent, and therefore, what do they perform? Ugra karmanaha, ugra karmana, proverb, word to word meaning, engaged in painful activities. So giving pain to themselves and pain to others, other living entities. So, and the result of all these activities is what? Shayaya jagato ahita. They simply are doing all this horrible work for the destruction of the world. Prabhupada often gave the example of the bombs. Prabhupada says, obviously, the one who has invented the bomb, he has intelligence, but misdirected intelligence because he doesn't know how to use the intelligence. So therefore, it's misdirected. And the result is production of these bombs and weapons. And Prabhupada says, when the weapons are there, they're going to throw at someone and there's going to be destruction. And that's what we find in the world. And so therefore, because they have no no idea of somebody in control. So therefore Prabhupada is mentioning animal killing in his purport. So animal killing, they have no idea how to behave towards one another. So they're violent to other people, violent to animals, cruel to animals and human beings. And the ultimate result is destruction of the world. Prabhupada does speak about atomic weapons in his purports. At any moment, war may take place, and these atomic weapons may create havoc. Before that, Prabhupada writes, indirectly, this verse anticipates the invention of nuclear weapons, of which the whole world is today very proud. But anytime war may take place. Such things are created solely for the destruction of the world, and this is indicated here. Due to godlessness, such weapons are invented in human society. They are not meant for peace and prosperity of the world. So Prabhupada says, people are anyways dying. They're anyways going to die. Why create some weapons to enhance the speed of death? So, no sense. So, in this verse, Krishna calls them Alpa Buddhaya, less intelligent. Why they call less intelligent? Krishna explains in the next verse. Kamam ashritya dushpuram dambamana madanvitaha mohad grihit vasat grahan pravartate ashuchivrataha. Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demoniac, thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. Okay, please read this purport.
Parvatama Mataji.
The demoniac mentality is described here. The demons have no situation. Excuse me, Prabhuji. Shall I read this translation also?
No, only purport.
The demonic mentality is described here. The demons have no satiation for their lust. They will go on increasing and increasing their insatiable desires for material enjoyment. Although they are always full of anxieties on account of accepting non-permanent things, they still continue to engage in such activities out of illusion. They have no knowledge and cannot tell that they are heading the wrong way. Accepting non-permanent things, such demonic people create their own God, create their own hymns, and chant accordingly. The result is that they become more and more attracted to two things: sex enjoyment and accumulation of material wealth. The word asuchi, vrata, unclean vows, is very significant in this connection. Such demonic people are only attracted by wife, woman, gambling, and meat eating. Those are their asuchi, unclean habits. Induced by pride and false prestige, they create some principles of religion which are not approved by the Vedic injunctions. Although such demonic people are most abominable in the world, by artificial means, the world creates a false honor for them. Although they are gliding toward hell, they consider themselves very much advanced.
Okay, so why they are called Alpa Buddhaya? Because Kama Ashritya, they have taken shelter of Kama. So everyone has to take shelter of someone. Prabhupada in a lecture, he gives the example of the dog. So the dog, he always wants to take shelter of a master. So if the dog has a master, then he feels protected and safe. If it doesn't have master, then anytime he can be taken by the municipality van, shot down. So So therefore, the tendency for everyone is to take shelter. But then people don't know where to take shelter. And so therefore, the demoniac, they take shelter of kama, kama ashritya. But what is the result of taking shelter of kama? This was already discussed in the third chapter, the nature of kama. So kama is like fire, can never be satiated, the more one feeds it, the more it will increase. So therefore, dushpuram, the same word is used in the third chapter also for the qualities of lust. Dushpuram analenacha. So the same qualities is mentioned. That's the nature of kama. The more one tries to satisfy kama, the more it's going to grow, never satisfied. And damba mana madanvitaha. So they have pride, false prestige, and they think they're very important. And so we find in the modern world, it's all based on mohat, illusion. Grihitva asat grahan. So it is all based upon accepting non-permanent things. So basically that's who's considered most important in modern day society? Those who have more money, and then money buys so many things, and so prestige of this world. So somebody has that, then he's considered very important. So he's considering the asat. Grihitva asat grahan. So accepting because of moha, illusion, he's accepting the asat grahat. And then he thinks I'm very important. Madan vitaha. He's thinking I'm very important, so he's very proud. And we find in the modern day, yes. So such people are given more importance. Those who have money, those who have popularity. So all the film stars and the sports stars, so all of them are considered very important. And they are the ones who practically dictate the fashions and dictate how people are supposed to act and behave. So Shastra is too far away. But then these type of people who have no idea whatsoever of what is good, what is bad, they practically rule the country. Why? Because, yes, mohats, because of illusion. Then such people become most important. Those who have more asat things, asat. Those who have all these impermanent things, they become very important. So this is all demoniac civilization. And ashuchi vrataha. So they're ashuchi. So not following any of the rules and regulations, unclean habits. So that's the result of demoniac qualities and not accepting scripture. So now they lead such a type of life. Are they happy with such a type of life? So next two verses Krishna explains. Chintam aparimeyam cha pralayantam upashritaha kamopaboga parama etavaditi nishchitaha asha pasha shatir baddha kama krodha parayanaha ihante kama bhogartam anyayena sanchayan. They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable, bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger. They secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. Okay, so the result of this type of lifestyle, which is essentially based on karma, is what? Chintam aparimeyam. Aparimeya means immeasurable chinta, immeasurable anxiety. As Prahlad Maharaj also said, Sada samudvigna diya. asatgrahat. So there also Prahlad Maharaj says, because of asatgrahat, because of accepting the impermanent as permanent. So the result of that is sada samudvigna, always an anxiety. So we know very well modern day civilization, stress, so much of stress and stress management seminars and all that. Why? Because of so much anxiety. Till when? Pralayantam, till death, till the point of death. Because the karma is also there till death. The karma doesn't go away. Desires don't go away. So Prabhupada again tells about his own experience, especially in Paris, France, and of course so many other places also. But then he says there he saw how there are old people, 70, 80 years old, and they're still going to the nightclub to see naked women dancing. So their senses have no strength, but still they want to at least see. So that is the situation. They're old people. They can't enjoy. The senses have no power to enjoy, but still the desire is there. So therefore, it's frustrating. They want to enjoy. The desire is there, but the instruments for enjoyment are not there. And so therefore, there is so much of anxiety, so much of frustration. So we know that story of Akbar Birbal Prabhupada told. And so Akbar once told that, asked Birbal, so till what time is this desire to enjoy, till what time it is present? And Birbal said, till the point of death. And Akbar could not believe it. So anyway, Birbal said, I'll prove it to you sometime. And so one day, all of a sudden, Birbal, he calls Akbar. He says, please come with me. Akbar says, why? He said, okay, I'll show you. And then, so there was an old man who was almost about to give up his body. And so Birbal told Akbar, get your young daughter along. And so when first Akbar entered the man's room, and so Birbal informed the old man who could practically not rise up from the bed. He told the old man, the Badshah is here, the emperor is here. And the man hardly opened his eyes. But then after some time, when Akbar's daughter entered with her tinkling ankle bells and all that, the man immediately opened his eyes wide, and then he got up to see the young girl. So then Akbar understood. So that's how, if one is not trying to control the material desires, the desires are not going to go away. They will continue till pralayantam, till death. And so therefore, it's very important and that we try to curb the material desires, not try to fulfill them. Otherwise, they will never be satisfied. No satiation. Even as devotees, it's an important point. And therefore, the Vedic scriptures are saying, as Prabhupada again quoted very often, Panchoshvadam Vanam Rajet. At the age of 50, one has to give up the material life. No more material desires. Why that injunction is there in the Shastras? Because if one doesn't make a voluntary endeavor to stop material life and material desires, there's no end to it. Then it'll continue till death. And so therefore, at a certain point of time, one has to make an endeavor to totally stop further material desires. So of course, the process of Krishna consciousness itself, the material desires are supposed to be transformed into spiritual desires. So if one is not making that a voluntary endeavor to stop material desires, they will go on increasing till death. So what do they think? Kama upabhoga parama. They think that the highest goal of life is to enjoy sense gratification, and as a result of that, asha, pasha, shatir, baddha is bound. Bound by what? Pasha. Pasha means, pash, noose. So the noose for hanging a person, pash. So he has all the asha, the desires. But what are all these desires? They're simply like pash. So the desires will keep him bound in the material world. As we already discussed these points before, that every body that one gets is simply a result of some material desire. Therefore, Prabhupada said, if there is any tinge of material desire, one has to come back to the material world to fulfill that desire. Because any desire means material body is waiting to fulfill the desire. So therefore, one has to make that endeavor to give up all types of material desires, spiritualize all the desires. Otherwise, they will become pasha. They'll become nooses, death noose, and keep one entangled, baddha, in the material worlds. And so, instead of being Vasudeva Parayana or Narayana Parayana, they are Kama Krodha Parayana. They have taken shelter of Kama and Krodha. And the result of that is Ihante Kama Bhoghartam. So they simply desire to enjoy, satisfy their Kama. And for satisfying Kama, what is required? Artha is required. And so, Anyayena Artha Sanchayan. So to fulfill Kama, Artha is required. And so therefore, somehow try to get the Artha, somehow try to get the money, even if it means by illegal means. And so therefore, even as devotees, if there's a lot of Kama, then the result will be desire for Artha. And desire for Artha, then one will go to even illegal means to get the Artha. But it all begins with Kama. And so therefore, we have to be very careful. Sometimes we find, even in the society of devotees who have a lot of material desires, then they are trying to accumulate money by illegal means. Unfortunately, we find these things happening, even in the society of devotees. But then one has to know, nobody escapes the reaction. For every action, there is reaction. The reactions are bound to come. As Prabhupada writes here in the purport, they do not believe in life after death, and they do not believe that one takes on different types of bodies according to one's karma or activities in this world. Their plans for life are never finished, and they go on preparing plan after plan, all of which are never finished. And he talks about a personal experience of a person who, even at the point of death, Prabhupada in the lecture, he says, in Allahabad, he had this experience in Allahabad again, of a person who was dying a little bit, quite young. He was in his 40s and he was dying, and then he was telling the physician to prolong his life by at least 4 years. Yes, and they said, no, forget about 4 years, not in 4 seconds. When the notice is there, there is no consideration of the man's desire. The laws of nature do not allow a second beyond what one is destined to enjoy. So therefore, the demoniac person has no faith in God, or the supersoul within himself performs all kinds of sinful activities simply for sense gratification. He does not know that there is a witness sitting within his heart. The supersoul is observing. Now we discussed this point also before, that the supersoul observes and he's going to give the reaction, but the demoniac don't accept. But you accept or don't accept. Prabhupada says, you accept or don't accept, the reaction is going to come. Just like the criminal. The criminal thinks, oh, government is not there, government will not do anything, and he performs his crime. But whether he accepts or not, the reaction is going to come. And then what to speak of laws of God? One can never escape. So what does the demoniac think? Read the next verses, purport 13 to 15. Read the translation. Sorry.
Vikas Chandra Prabhuji.
The demonic person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer, I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices, I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance.
Okay, so this is the um, imagined happiness of the demoniac person. So this is all the plans and scheming that the demoniac people do. So they think I'm great, and anyone who's an interference in my sense gratification, I'll finish him off, and so on and so forth. So that's how the demoniac, they make their plans, all based on ignorance. Ajnana vimohita. Everything is based on ajnana. And so what happens as a result of all this? 16th verse. Aneka chitta vibhranta mohajala samavritaha prasakta kama bhogeshu patanti narakeshu chau. That's the ultimate results. Okay, so many results in between, but that's the ultimate result. Ultimate result is patanti narake. Thus perplexed by various anxieties, bound by a network of illusions, they become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down to hell. So, as we already discussed about anxieties, aneka chitta vibhranta. Why? Because, as Prabhupada says, he does not hesitate to act in any sinful way, deals in the black market for illegal gratification. So then obviously, when one does illegal things, there's so many anxieties. What if I'm caught? What should I say if I'm caught? So therefore it said, if one tells one lie, then to cover up for that, one has to say 100 lies. And then one's life becomes so complicated, so much full of anxiety. How should I escape from this person? How should I escape from that person? So that's all what goes on. So that's why aneka chitta vibhranta, and then he's caught, moha jala. He's caught in the network of illusion. So Prabhupada writes here, demoniac person believes in the strength of his personal work, not in the law of karma. Right? So therefore he thinks, I work hard, I gain money, and everything is based on my endeavor. So he doesn't understand that there's superior controllers. So if everything is based on endeavor, then why the poor person is also working hard? Why he doesn't become rich? So that's what Prabhupada writes. The demoniac think that all these things are accidental and due to strength of one's personality. They do not sense any arrangement beyond all the righteous people. Okay, and then he wants to finish his enemies, and therefore there's constant strife, war, enmity all over the world. And then Prabhupada also says that they may also perform some yajnas to go to the higher planetary systems, or they manufacture their own process of yajna and prepare some machine by which they'll be able to reach any higher planet. The example is Ravana. So therefore, Prabhupada says, similarly in the present age, such demoniac men are striving to reach the high planetary system of mechanical arrangement. So this is the Ravana mentality, trying to barge into the higher planets without the qualification by some mechanical arrangement. So that's also a demoniac mentality. The result is, without their knowledge, they're gliding towards hell. So jala, moha jala. Jala means net, like fish caught in a net. They have no way to come out. 17. Atma sambhavita stabdha dhanamana madanvitaha yajanti nama yajnaste dambena vidipurvakam. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige. They sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only, without following any rules or regulations. Okay, that's the meaning of yajante nama yajna. So here nama yajna has nothing to do with the holy name. Please note. So here nama yajna means yajna in name only. So we find sometimes materialistic people also, They organize some big yajnas, spend lots of money, make a big show, call the press, and so on and so forth. So they do all that as politicians, whatever. So why? Just to make a show. Damba. Damba means to make a show. But avidhi purvakam, there are no rules and regulations followed. So Prabhupada writes, sometimes such demons take up the role of preacher, mislead the people, become known as religious reformers or incarnations of God. Of course, these days very common, all these things. So they make a show of performing sacrifices, worship demigods, but it's all avidipur. 18th, the last verse of the section. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodam cha samshritaha mam atma paradeheshu pradvishanto abhyasuyakha. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion. Okay, so ultimately they were enemies of the Supreme Lord because of ankar, false ego. And what? Pradvishanta. So they blaspheme the real religion. So they concoct their own religion, and the real religion they blaspheme. Okay, read this purport.
Anand Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. A demoniac person, being always against God's supremacy, does not like to believe in the scriptures. He is envious of both the scriptures and the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is caused by his so-called prestige and his accumulation of wealth and splendor. He does not know that the present life is a preparation for the next life. Not knowing this, he is actually envious of his own self as well as of others. He commits violence on other bodies and on his own. He does not care for the supreme control of the personality of Godhead because he has no knowledge. Being envious of the scriptures and the supreme personality of Godhead, he puts forward false arguments against the existence of God and denies the scriptural authority. He thinks himself independent and powerful in every action. He thinks that since no one can equal him in strength, power, or wealth, he can act in any way and no one can stop him. If he has an enemy who might check the advancement of his sensual activities, he makes plans to cut him down by his own power.
Yes, so an important point here, he is actually envious of his own self. Okay, so by acting in demoniac way, one is actually becoming envious of one's own self because one is actually causing harm to oneself. So one may be thinking, I'm causing harm to others, I'm successful, and I'll become happy by doing all this. But actually, it's all an illusion because he's causing harm to himself. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Nate vidu swartha katimi Vishnu. You really want to be swartha, selfish, then worship Vishnu because that will bring benefit to oneself. So, if we act properly according to scriptures, then who gets the benefit? I only get the benefit. It's not that I'm doing a great benefit to others. Well, that may be there. But then the fact is, if I act properly according to scriptures, I benefit myself. If I don't, I cause harm to myself. Therefore, it's like being envious of oneself. That's what Prabhupada is writing here. Right? So therefore, by trying to bring about a change in one's life, trying to develop the divine qualities, come to Sattva Gun, one is actually benefiting oneself. One is not benefiting others. Right? So that may be there subsequently as a consequence of that. But then basically, the most important thing is one is benefiting oneself. Otherwise, it's like being envious of oneself. And that's the reason why one has to make the endeavor to give up the demoniac qualities and develop the divine qualities. Okay, lecture by Srila Prabhupada, please read.
Nishant Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Loke asmin daiva asura aivacha. So they do not like people in divine nature. They will tolerate all kinds of noise, barking of the dogs, the motor car passing, the aeroplane on overhead. But as soon as there is kirtana, they are disturbed. They will tolerate so many different types of noise, but they will not tolerate kirtana.
Continue.
In the morning at 7, we used to hold our class and there was little sound. Immediately the tenants from upwards, they will come down and complain. Sometimes they will call for police. And on the street, 2nd Avenue, there is always big trucks and motor cars going on, heavy sound. Then in your country, the garbage carrier sound, the digging sound, so many sounds they will tolerate. And as soon as Hare Krishna, oh, it is intolerable. This is demoniac.
Right. So so we all have experience of that. So the demoniac, they can't tolerate Hare Krishna. So many other sounds they are able to tolerate. Okay, another lecture. Somebody else.
Okay, I'll read this. Everyone so chintam aparimeyam cha, the demons, they are anxiety. Everyone has anxiety, but their anxiety aparimeyam. Just like ordinary man, he has got some anxiety. How to maintain my family? How to get some money to maintain family? Like that. But the demons, they are unmeasurable, unlimited. You'll find big businessmen, they have got very long project. How to do this, how to increase this factory, how to make it world renowned, and so on. Bhagavad Gita lecture.
Yes, so that's the unlimited anxieties of the business people. So on the point of anxiety, so here are some questions for you. So please note down these questions and we will take the answers tomorrow. What are the effects of different types and levels of anxiety? What is the difference between material anxiety and spiritual anxiety? That's the main question. And give some examples from your experiences of both types of anxiety. Note it down?
Yes, Prabhuji. I will send it on the group as well, these questions.
Okay, fine.
Ruchi, there are 3 questions. Do you want to take those or?
No, it's okay. Its time is up, and so we'll see tomorrow.
Okay, all right, Prabhuji.
Okay, fine. So the last section of the chapter we'll cover tomorrow, and then we will go on to the 17th chapter. Okay, thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you
Hare
very
Krishna,
much.
Prabhuji. Danvat pranam.
Danvat pranam. Hare
Danvat pranam, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Danvat pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada.